If you're co-parenting with somebody who has completely different views on how to parent a child, on their values, and not only that, but at the same time, they have narcissistic tendencies, which makes it even more worse, because when someone has different views than you, there's nothing wrong with that, because you can at least communicate with them and you can try to find a middle ground. You can try to solve the problem, and different views is beautiful, right? And sometimes I also feel like it's important for children to see how both the parents have different opinions and how they can come together to form a solution for the best interest for their household, or just, for each household. A lot of my clients have gone through this, and I have gone through this myself as well. And I know how challenging this is. And so I really want to make something that is helpful for you guys. So the first thing that I would recommend is to, before we get into what we need to do with the situation, what I would recommend is to heal from this relationship. There is a wound that exists within you that now it's your responsibility, once you're away from that relationship, to heal it. And in order to heal something, you have to understand it. You have to understand yourself. And so the whole process of healing, understanding, letting go of the anger, of the resentment, of the hate, all of that stuff, for me, is the prerequisite to then understanding how to co-parent in a healthy way. What is the best interest for your child and for your well-being? That is the most important thing that I want you to focus on. In short, you need to do the work on yourself before we're out here blaming people. And I'm sure we all have phases of doing that and just venting and getting it out, and that's fine. But a lot of people stay stuck in that loop of just blaming. Oh my God, look at my life. I'm so unlucky. Why did this happen to me? You just keep on asking yourself these questions that are so, they're not empowering. They're not going to help you. They're not helpful at all. They just kind of keep you stuck. And so my first recommendation is to heal yourself. And also I do want to mention, because we talk about healing a lot, and I talk about it to my daughter as well, but healing it's not just, you pop a pill and you're healed. This is a process, but just the fact that you are taking into consideration that there is a wound within you and you need to do some work in order to get to the other side. And it might take a year, it might take 5 years. It doesn't, you just don't know how long it's going to take. And I know some people will disagree, and I get that, but it's really tough to heal as you are dealing with the person who has hurt you. So a lot of the times, let's say if somebody passes away, or your ex was abusive or whatever it is, that person has gone. So you have the chance, and this is just my perspective from my own experiences and what I've learned, is that you have that space to be like, they're gone. I don't need to deal with them anymore. And so I can now heal. And you're still healing if you're connected, if you're co-parenting with them. But at the same time, you still are dealing with them. You're still interacting with them on a day-to-day basis. And it's like you're watching your ex, a lot of the times repeat the same mistakes that they did with you. And so it's not easy to be in this position. So I just want to, I don't want to just put it out there, just heal and do the work and just get it together, because it's hard, it's difficult, it's a journey. And so I don't want anyone to think that you just go and do a meditation and you're healed now. No, it's just the point of taking that step to get there. I think that in itself is healing. One of the things I recommend to my clients, and I have done this myself, is I write a letter. I've wrote a lot of letters to my ex-partners, to my parents, whoever that I had still, some sort of hate or resentment or anger or frustration towards them, I just wanted to get it all out. So I actually have this in my workbook. It's totally free. If you want to check it out, just send me a DM on my Instagram, Nazneen Rani, and I'm going to send it to you completely free. The workbook is called A Woman in the Mirror, and it's a great way to see yourself in the mirror and where you might be repeating patterns over and over again. Once you're aware of what the pattern is, that is the first step in order to then heal and understand and all those other great things that we constantly talk about. But without awareness, we're not going to get anywhere. The second thing that I would recommend when you are co-parenting with a person who has very different views than you, and you're trying to help your child or children, but at the same time you have somebody who has opposing views, which is going to drive you insane at some point or the other. So one of the ways that I have learned through my own experiences and helping other people is not, and this is a very difficult one, and I'm sure I've said this a million times, but it's not to react, especially in front of your child or children. Because when somebody has these qualities, narcissistic qualities, there's a lot of different aims of theirs, but one of their main goals is to control and to dominate. That's simply it. They want to be on top. They do not want you to put them down, because as soon as you say something where you are basically saying, no, actually, this is what I believe in, they're going to try to they're going to try to mock you and try to make you feel dumb, stupid, small, belittle you, and they'll do it in front of your kid. So, it doesn't matter if you're in front of your child or whoever, because a lot of the times this act that they do is very subtle. It's not like they're going at you and loud and chaotic. It's very little. So let's just take for an example, you are on a call with your ex-partner, ex-husband, and your child or children, and you are parenting that child. And suddenly they don't agree with it because they think it's too soft or whatever it is. And so then they overpower you by dominating their voice, whatever it is, and say, no, you got to do this and whatever. And then you say something along the lines of, I got this, I'm handling this. A lot of times women don't say this because they just let the man do the parenting, which I think, again, there's something is wrong there. But anyways, so he goes ahead and he is going to enforce his rules and what he thinks is right. But then you go ahead and you say, well, I got this. I'm handling this. Basically, I don't need any help because now the child is with me. It's in my custody. So I'm looking after the child. So now the child is going to follow my rules in this house. And so then that person, then he or she, doesn't matter. I'm just using this as a scenario. And then he kind of whispers to you or says it in a way like under his breath, kind of like, really? You handled it? Really? Or something that is going to make you feel like you need to respond to this. You need to react to this. And a lot of the times we do. We are going to react to that. And a lot of people would say, well, yeah, don't you see I'm handling it? And then you kind of have a tit for tat, or you have an energy exchange with this person who wants you to go at them. They want this. They want chaos. That is where they thrive the best. If it's not chaotic, they don't know what the hell to do with themselves. So the best way to deal with this scenario is not to react. The more that you get loud and you start fighting with them, you're giving them exactly what they want. And they basically now have the power. You have given away your power to them because they know that their words still have a power over you. You still are weak because you allow this person to dictate your energy, the volume of your voice. And I'm not saying that when, if it's dangerous or whatever, you're not allowed to raise your voice and say what you need to do. No, of course you can do that. But I'm just saying in general, when these things happen, it's best to not give them what they are looking for. That is the best way to go about this. I love learning scripts where it allows me to convey to them that I am not available for this interaction. I'm not available for you. And that is the key to this. This is the best advice that I have used. And trust me, I've used a lot of different advice. I have yelled, I have screamed, I have done all the things that you think you need to do when you're dealing with them. But in fact, it's very simple. But the simpler it is, the harder it is, I feel like, because all you're going to see is like, what? I just say that and that's it. It's like, yeah, because at the same time now you have to not repeat your own patterns, because maybe you have a pattern of having a back and forth with them, and that is something that you enjoy. Now, this is where we get to be honest with ourselves and our own flaws. The less that you say, the more impact you actually have. And this was my biggest lesson, because as you guys know, I love to talk, I love to laugh, and I love to have a good time. The less oxygen you're giving to the fire, the quicker this is going to end. And the more you're going to spend your time to explain to them on how worthy and how great of a parent you are, and how your tactic and your technique is the one that should be followed, that's it. We are going to be in a loop. The less that you explain, especially in person, I'm not saying don't communicate, because at a certain point you have to communicate about certain things. But the way that I have dealt with it and I've learned is that whenever there's something that you want to talk about, some sort of parenting, or I've given my child, 30 minutes of iPad time or whatever it is, and I'm trying to implement this new thing, it's best to send a message, send a text. I mean, I know a lot of people use emails, which is, if that works best for you, that's fine. But sending an email when you're just explaining what you're doing is a perfect way of dealing with these type of people, and instead avoid these one-on-one battles, especially in front of your kid. Does not need to see that. One of my clients recently, she mentioned how she was super triggered with her co-parenting dynamic and her child, where she's trying to teach her child to respect animals and to not hurt them or kill them, and things like flies as well, and her partner is out here stepping on flies and cockroaches, and like, yeah, I'm gonna kill this and kill that, and it's sending the kid a very weird message, because it's like the father is doing something, the mother is doing something else. And I'm just giving you a little example of what it might look like. And what I believe is the most peaceful route to take is, unless your child is, in a dangerous environment, that's a whole different topic. But I'm just saying, when it comes to things like this, where it's a difference of opinions, you have to stick to your values, to your boundaries, to what you believe, and you state that with love and respect. And then whatever that child learns in the other person's house, that parent wants to teach them about stepping on ants and cockroaches or whatever it is, that's on them. That's their karma. That's the parent they want to be to that kid. And at the end of it, you have to also realize that your child gets to choose. They get to choose who they want to follow, who what resonates with them the most. And even, for example, my childhood, I saw my mom, doing a lot of things that I knew in my heart. I'm like, that's wrong. I disagree with that. You shouldn't be doing that. I just knew it. And I never followed it. And so a child, a soul, already knows. My mom taught me more lessons than anybody else, because I saw the contrast of my dad and my mom. They both had a very different way of looking at the world. And so I learned through looking at them. They were my best teachers. And so what I'm trying to say is that I know you're trying to form your child's brain, and you got to do this and this is right. But at the end of it, you can, both the parties, both the father and mother, can have the best parenting, and they can love their child. Like, for example, Wayne mother effing Dyer, like, my God, he, had 7 or 8 children, and one of the kids, unfortunately, she became a drug addict, right? And it's like she had the best role model. And I'm not to say, it's not here to shame anybody, but I'm just saying that she saw the best model of role models. And at the end of it, she chose the path that her soul needed to choose, because that is what she came here to do, and learn and maybe use that experience to help other kids down the line. And I know that you probably are frustrated with this person and you're like, I'm trying to do my best and I'm trying to make a living and I'm trying to be the best role model and be kind and loving, and then this other person is coming here and messing it all up. And all I want to say to that is that you are allowed to feel what you are feeling in that moment. If you're frustrated, you're frustrated, and you have to allow yourself to feel it and be in it, and that's okay. But I also want to mention that everything is divinely ordained. This is all perfect. It's imperfectly perfect. And even though it does not look like that right now, it looks like a hot mess, it looks like chaos or whatever it is, but it is exactly what your children have chosen. They have chosen you as a mom. They have chosen you as a dad in order to experience the life that they came to live. And that way of thinking for me changed my life, because I no longer was just stressed about my child. I mean, of course, we all are stressed about our kids. But at the same time, I kind of, have more freedom in being a parent now, where I'm not so stuck in the rules and, oh my God, this is going to mess her up and this is going to mess him up and whatever. I make my mistakes all day long. But what I'm trying to say is that perspective, even though I kind of get wrapped up in the chaos sometimes, it allows me to kind of get back on my path and remain calm and look at the bigger picture of life. Fourthly, you can also have a conversation with your child or children after something that was said and you're like, that just does not sound good. And you can talk to your child after and just explain, because sometimes kids are going to see some weird stuff and they're going to feel that energy, even though maybe something bad hasn't happened, but they can feel the discourse within their parents. And it's a sad part about life, but it is what it is. But at the same time, what I've learned is that kids are so resilient. They're so quick to heal and forgive and move the hell along. And as adults, we need to learn a thing or two from kids. But just explaining to your kids that, you know what, mommy and daddy, we love each other. And mommy and daddy, we see things a little bit differently, and that is okay. It is actually great that we see things differently, because you get the best of both worlds. Something where it's still acknowledging the truth and you're not completely just ignoring anything. You're like, oh, whatever, my child doesn't notice. No, sweetie, your kids notice everything. They are smarter than you think. And lastly, your main goal here is just to not start a full-blown toxic argument in front of your child or children. And if you're not at that spot right now where you can peacefully do a gray rock where you're not giving them any attention, or you say something along the lines of like, I've handled it, I got this, and that's really difficult for you, that is okay. You can slowly get to that point, but even the fact of you addressing maybe some of your toxic tendencies where you like to argue and you want to get them into a fight as well. So looking at yourself is a huge aspect of growth, as well as not talking bad about the other person. This one is enormous. Never ever say anything bad about the other person. I know it's tough, but your kids they're not your therapists. They're not your coaches. They're not they're just kids. Let them be kids. Let them enjoy. Let them love both of their parents, because when you're saying something bad about the kid's father or kid's mother, the kid is not thinking, oh yeah, something is off with my parent and they need to, do some resolving there with their traumas. They don't think like that. They think, what is wrong with me? Why am I unlovable? Why am I not worthy of both my parents loving each other? What is wrong with me? What did I do wrong? that is what your kid is thinking. So please do not think that children think like adults. They don't. That's why their brain is self-forming. It doesn't form till they're 21 or 22 or 25. I forgot. I do also want to mention to not beat yourself up if you're trying to figure out a solution in front of the kid or even without the kid, and you're trying to make it work and the other person just doesn't want to, or they, whatever it is. I don't want you to beat yourself for it because it's not your fault. You're showing up, you're trying your best, and if that person doesn't want to, or if they're creating more problems, you can't do shit about it. So stop trying to fix it. Sometimes you just have to let go and let God, and maybe eventually you're going to find another person, healthier dynamic, where you are going to show your children this is what a healthy relationship looks like. And so you just have to have that faith in God or whatever you believe in, that eventually it's going to happen, but just not with this person right now. And that is okay. You are not just here to teach your children how to be kind and loving and do this and do that and just tell them a bunch of great quotes. You also are here to teach them in real time how to respond when somebody, even if that's their own father or mother, when someone is disrespecting you, or when somebody is belittling you or calling you out or whatever it is, how do you respond? So your kid is learning in real time. Oh, when my mom gets triggered, she starts to yell. She likes to curse. Oh, when my dad gets triggered, he likes to take a deep breath and he likes to de-escalate the situation. And so your kids are learning by what you're doing, not by what you're saying. Because Lord knows, I've told my daughter a lot of amazing things. I definitely can feel it. I've told her some good stuff. But at the end of it, if I am not truly being who I'm telling her to be, none of all the words that I'm saying, it's just garbage. It's just garbage. And this is a little bit esoteric, but all of us, not just some of us, all of us have chosen this specific life to reincarnate this body and the specific parents, because we know that our mother, our father, we are going to learn XYZ lesson that is going to help our soul grow and evolve. And I know we take this life so seriously, and that's definitely me, and I work on this myself, but this is all happening in divine order. And so one of the reasons that one of my clients attracted her partner is because her soul needed to learn how to stand up for yourself, how to create boundaries for yourself, how to not allow somebody to dim your light, how to be your true authentic self without living in fear of what other people are going to think about you, how to have difficult conversations. And also, do you want to choose to be right, or do you want to choose to have peace in your life? Which choice do you want to make? These are all choices we have the free will to make. I want to end on this note. Every difficult, challenging time in your life is a phase. There's going to be a beginning and there's going to be an end. And I just want you to know that even though right now you feel like this is going to be forever, it's not. It's not going to be like this forever. The only way to deal with fire is to go right through it. There is no other way. And if you're trying to numb it or take a shortcut or have a hack or whatever, it is going to keep coming back, but even stronger, even harder. And that is a fact of life. And it doesn't mean that God is here to punish you, but this is just how the universe works. So instead of focusing on how bad your life is right now, focus on the solution and know that you have to just take it one day at a time. And also knowing that you can't fix this all by yourself. Having faith in something bigger than yourself, because if we think we're doing everything by ourselves, we are going to have a very, very hard time in life. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time and your support. And I also do want to mention that I have recently just published a book for kids called Ari's Big Ears, and it is like my little baby. Maybe I'll make another video on it, but it's just something that I'm so excited to share, because I do believe that in order to change the world, it starts with kids. It starts with children. It starts with how we're conditioning children, because they are going to be the future. If you're interested in purchasing it and just learning more about it, check the link in my bio. I love you guys, and I will see you guys on the next one.